What's going on, guys? It's that one Total Drama guy back again with another Total Drama What If. And today we are doing What If Leshawna didn't go off her dancing podium. Now, before we do that, I just want to say thank you for the amount of support on my previous video. First video to get over 500 views in a while, so thanks for that. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want more videos, and let's get into it. So to start, Leshawna stays on her platform. She doesn't knock Heather's tooth out, and she moves on to the next round. As for Alejandro and Sierra, I think Alejandro's going to beat her, but he's not going to use all of his strength, so that way he doesn't seem intimidating against Sierra. So when it's Leshawna and Alejandro, I think Alejandro's going to give up, just like the way he did with Sierra in the original version, because obviously he doesn't want to beat the person he's being manipulated with. He's obviously going to be upset that he can't get rid of her yet, but he's still going to use her. He's still going to have a card that he's going to play. But for now, Team Amazon is voting, and it's definitely going to be between Heather and Sierra. Obviously, Cody is voting Sierra. Obviously, Sierra's voting Heather. And I feel like here, Courtney would still vote for Heather, but I feel like Cody would convince Gwen to vote against Sierra. And I think Gwen will be hesitant, but she would eventually do it, agreeing that next time there's elimination, they would all vote against Heather. And obviously, Heather's going to vote against Sierra. Like, I feel like Cody would tell Heather to vote against Sierra, so Sierra's going to be eliminated here. Episode 8, nothing really happens here. Team Victory still gets a confidence boost. Alejandro's still going to try to manipulate Owen into thinking that he can't trust anybody else. Team Amazon's still going to go in the wrong direction and think they're going to get captured by Zing Zings. And they're not really going to blame it as Gwen as much, since Sierra was the one that, started, the whole jinxing thing about, how, when a character says something, that they're going to win, they always lose. She was the one that started that, so I don't think it's going to happen this episode. But again, they're still going to vote, but it's not actually going to be elimination like they did last time. I feel like everybody here would just vote off Heather, but Heather, she is safe, and we move on to episode 9, the Paris episode. Now, in this episode, I still think Alejandro has Leshawna wrapped around his finger, and I still think DJ is still going to try to look for the dog mummy statue. And Lindsay, she's going to try to do most of the work for their team, but I still think Leshawna would help. And Lindsay was a second away from victory until DJ crashed into him. So I think with Leshawna's help, I think Team Victory is actually going to win here. And then it's going to be Team Amazon and then Team Chris. Also, I think Alejandro might be a little more distracted trying to help Leshawna, which sets them back even more when they were in the original challenge. Now, for the elimination here, I feel like Alejandro is going to go for Izzy. She did crash the plane in this episode, and she is the closest one to Owen, other than Noah. So I think that means Alejandro and Noah are actually going to come to agreement and vote off Izzy here. Only other person I would see being voted off, I think Owen might vote for Tyler, since Owen still likes Izzy. He's not at that point where he wants to break up with her. So I think he might vote for Tyler, not deciding to vote off Izzy. And I think Tyler might also vote Izzy. I don't know who Izzy would vote for. Maybe Alejandro, maybe Noah, probably not Tyler, though. So, with 3 votes against her, I think Izzy here will be eliminated, and we move on to episode 10. One more thing to mention about this episode, the dog mummy statue still gets broken, which causes DJ to want to go home. Now, in episode 10, Gwen is going to be the one paddling the boat with Cody, so they're not actually going to discover Duncan, like the statue that looks like Duncan, because it was Gwen that saw the statue, so they're actually just going to go to the challenge. And Heather's going to be with her team instead of helping out DJ, because DJ wants to go home, but he's still with his other teammates, so it's no point for Heather to try to make an alliance with him. Alejandro's not going to go after DJ, since he's still trying to get Leshawna eliminated. Now, in episode 10, it's still going to be non-elimination, so it doesn't really matter who wins. But those are just some of the things that happened during this episode. Now, in episode 11, instead of Noah trying to convince Owen to not trust Izzy and to want to break up with her, and Owen was convinced that it was time to break up with Izzy, I feel like here Noah's now going to try to start sharing Owen his distrust of Alejandro here instead of episode 13. And Alejandro's going to be too distracted with Leshawna to try to still get Owen on his side. But in the actual challenge of this episode, in Jamaica, Owen's actually going to participate because he doesn't fall out of the plane with Izzy when it crashed, because Izzy's the reason that he fell off. So Owen's not going to go to the infirmary. But the first part of the challenge doesn't really matter, since all you win is helmets. But again, DJ, he's not going to have Irene. He still wants to go home. So for the second part of the challenge, he's not going to perform that well. And then Alejandro's going to break the board like he did last time, causing DJ to go flying, causing Team Victory to lose the challenge, causing them having to vote someone off. Also, in Team Amazon, I feel like Courtney and Gwen are going to get closer. And I feel like Cody's going to try to shoot a shot with Gwen now that Gwen is single. But that's not really important right now. What is important is the elimination. And I think DJ is going to vote himself off. And I think both Leshawna and Lindsay realize this game is not good for DJ. So I think at least one of them are going to vote him off. So DJ gets eliminated. Then the aftermath happens, not really important. We move on to episode 13. This is a big episode. Noah's still talking to Owen about how he distrusts Alejandro. Alejandro's still kind of trying to get Leshawna eliminated. In the actual challenge aspect, Alejandro still gets eliminated first, and Tyler. Then it's Owen and Noah. I think they're still going to catch Jack the Ripper. And then on Team Amazon, it's going to be Heather. And then Cody and Gwen, and because Cody went off with Sierra, so I don't think Cody's actually going to get captured. Maybe later on, but I think those three are still going to find Duncan later on. And for Team Victory, I don't think Leshawna and Lindsay are doing much, so I don't think they're going to find anybody. So since Team Chris found Jack the Ripper, I feel like Duncan's still going to go on their team. Team Amazon actually wins the challenge, and Team Victory has to vote someone off. But since there's two of them, it has to be a tiebreaker. And since Jack the Ripper was Ezekiel, first person to get Ezekiel booted off the plane wins immunity. Now, I feel like here, Alejandro's going to distract Leshawna by kissing her, causing Lindsay to win immunity, causing Leshawna to go home, causing there to be one person on Team Victory, and Duncan's back in the game, and we move on to episode 14. Now, of course, Duncan and Gwen still kiss, but instead of Tyler finding out, I think it's actually going to be Cody who finds out. Since Cody's been trying to get to Gwen more often, I think he's going to try to talk to her, knows that she's in the bathroom, walks into them two kissing. Cody's going to be surprised, but he's going to keep it a secret for now. But in episode 14, when it's Duncan, Gwen, and Lindsay, I still think Gwen's going to win here. For the wrestling match, I think it's going to be different. Cody's going to be too upset with Gwen and Duncan to wrestle, so I think it's just going to be Tyler, Courtney versus Owen, Lindsay, and Heather. And I feel like Courtney's going to hit Lindsay. This is going to cause Tyler to pin Courtney, giving a medal to Team Chris. And then Owen's going to pin Heather, but then Lindsay's going to go on top of Owen and pin them two, giving 2 medals to Lindsay, 1 medal to Team Amazon from Gwen, and 1 medal from Team Chris. Now, for the next part of the challenge, it's going to be Alejandro, Cody, and Lindsay. Now, for this part of the challenge, I still think Alejandro's going to biff it, bonk his head, and Cody's going to win because Lindsay's not running in heels. Now, I think Duncan's going to come back from the bear challenge because he was still stuck with the bear, and then he came back. And I feel like he's going to make fun of Cody. Cody's still going to punch him, and he's going to be like, that's what you get for kissing Gwen. And then everybody's going to flip out about this. But Team Chris still lost since Lindsay got 2 medals from the wrestling match. Gwen got 1 medal, and Cody got 1 medal. So that's 2 medals for Team Amazon and only 1 medal for Team Chris. So we move on, and Team Chris has to eliminate someone here. And I think Noah's going to strategize. He has a big distaste for Alejandro, so he's going to talk to Duncan. He's going to be like, all right, you're on the chopping block right here, so if you vote for Alejandro with us, you're safe. And Duncan agrees to it. Obviously, here, Alejandro and Tyler are going to vote Duncan, and Alejandro would be eliminated, but Chris is going to do the same thing he did with Duncan in the original. He's going to be like, Alejandro's causing too much drama, but we can't let him go yet. And we move on to episode 15. Obviously, Courtney's going to be upset by the fact that Duncan and Gwen kissed, and Alejandro's going to realize that this is his wake-up call. This elimination is the reason why Alejandro realizes he needs to get his priorities in check. First thing he needs to do is get rid of Noah and Owen and get Tyler's vote. So to get Tyler's vote, he needs to get rid of Lindsay as soon as possible. So in this episode, I feel like Tyler and Alejandro are going to be spending a lot of time together. They get the alien stuck in their face. Duncan punches the alien. Owen still gets captured. Owen gets freed. And then they take the alien. They run off. Team Amazon grabs the cube. They run off. Lindsay's stuck with no artifact. I feel like Tyler still calls the alien to explode. Team Amazon delivers Chris the cube. And now Team Chris has to run back. And Alejandro realizes that he can just steal the artifact from Lindsay by his charm. And for Lindsay, I don't think it'll work that much because Lindsay's with Tyler. But I think Alejandro at that point would just take the cube from her and, well, not the cube, anything Lindsay finds in the Area 51 and run with the guy saying that he found an artifact. And Lindsay has a choice. She can either go back or run after them. And she can't run that fast and she's in heels. So Team Chris is still going to win and Lindsay's going to be booted without being able to explain herself. So there goes Team Victory. And we move on to episode 16. This episode is the Emu episode. Still think Duncan and Cody are going to have beef this episode. Now, in this episode, I still think Alejandro is still going to try to get with Courtney to mess with her and Heather, and I still think Courtney's still going to sabotage her team to try to get Gwen eliminated for kissing with Duncan. Still think Team Chris is going to win, just like as usual. So, Team Amazon are going to be the one for elimination here, and here's how it's going to go. So, because Cody, I still think Duncan's going to push Cody. He's going to be spinning around. Because of this, I feel like Cody, instead of voting off Sierra like he did last time, would vote for Heather. And I feel like Gwen would be able to convince Heather to vote for Courtney. So Cody's voting for Heather, Gwen and Heather are voting for Courtney, and Courtney's voting for Gwen. I know that sounds confusing, but it's 2 votes Courtney, 1 vote Heather, 1 vote Gwen. So Courtney's actually going to be getting eliminated here. There's no tiebreaker or anything. Now, episode 17, it's not an elimination, but I still want to go over this. Alejandro realizes he needs Owen's vote, so for the entirety of this episode, like last time in episode 17, Alejandro's going to get Owen on his side. Now we move on to episode 18, the aftermath. Blaney's going to come back, but she's going to come back in episode 20, because there needs to be an even number of contestants for episode 19, since they go in pairs, and we have an extra number because Izzy didn't come back. Well, Izzy didn't get eliminated with DJ. I know Izzy comes back in every other season but this one. This is the merge, and here are the teams for episode 19. It's going to be Heather and Alejandro, Cody and Gwen, Duncan and Tyler, Owen and Noah. Obviously, Duncan's going to be upset the fact that he's not with Gwen and that Cody's with Gwen. That will come into elimination later. I feel like Duncan and Tyler, they won't be such a good duo, but they'll do all right. Owen and Noah, I feel like they're going to do pretty exceptionally well since they're normally a team. And as for Heather and Alejandro, I think those two are actually going to win the challenge because Alejandro realizes he has to step up with his game. Not like last time where he thought he had everything under control. He realizes he doesn't have that much allies like last time where he just gave up. He has to win. So I feel like him and Heather are going to win this time. And Alejandro's going to try to get rid of Noah for how good he did in the challenge with Owen. So I feel like it's going to be him, Heather, then we're going to vote off Noah. He's going to try to convince Duncan to vote off Noah, but Duncan's going to be like, no one tells me who to vote. And he's going to vote off Cody. I feel like Tyler and Owen would also vote off Cody as Tyler, Owen, and Noah kind of have that alliance going on where they want to get rid of anyone but Duncan since he's also kind of part of it. And they want to give it to Duncan's girlfriend. And Heather and Alejandro have immunity. So Cody's the only one really left. So I feel like those 4 are voting off Cody. And Cody, I feel like, is going to vote for Duncan. So I think Gwen might also vote for Noah. So that's 3 votes Noah, 1 vote Duncan, 4 votes Cody, which means Cody is eliminated here. And now Blaney can be brought back into the game. Now, for episode 20, I actually don't think Blaney's going to make her alliance with Chef since she's getting settled in place of where she is and, what she can do right now. And as long as Owen makes it for the first part, which I think could possibly be done, it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. Owen's winning immunity here through, the fact that he's such a good eater. So Owen has immunity this time, so Alejandro can't get rid of him. So he's definitely going for Noah this time. And I feel like here, him, and he would be able to convince Duncan now, and Gwen would be voting off Noah. I feel like Duncan, he also realizes Noah's paid off his usefulness. He helped Duncan, but he doesn't have to repay back that favor. As for Blaney, I feel like Heather, she's done with Blaney. Those two were bickering this entire episode. Heather's going to go up to Owen and be like, listen, your best friend Noah is going to get eliminated, or it could be a tie against Blaney. Your decision. So those 4 are going to be voting off Blaney, and those 4 are going to be voting off Noah. So it's going to be a tie, and like last time, Chris is going to be like, we don't have the budget right now, we're just going to push you 2 out. And it will be a double elimination, but Blaney's going to say some stuff before she leaves like she did last time. She's going to be talking about how Heather and Alejandro should just get together. And then when talking to Tyler, she's going to be like, and Tyler, Alejandro's the reason Lindsay got eliminated. And then both of them leave. Tyler's obviously going to be upset at this, and Alejandro realizes that he had to get rid of both Owen and Tyler to make sure him and Heather make it to the finale. Now, in episode 22, this is the Ezekiel challenge. I still feel like Alejandro here is going to win, but in a different way. I still think Heather's going to win the first part of the challenge, and Alejandro's going to steal her ammunition. And then instead of having Duncan be the one to fall into the blood barriers and having Ezekiel come, I feel like now it's going to be Alejandro that does it. He's going to push Tyler into the blood barriers, causing Ezekiel to come, and he's going to shoot both Ezekiel and Tyler, causing both of them to get knocked out, and Alejandro's going to win the challenge here. Now, for the elimination here, Alejandro really wants someone gone. If he didn't want him gone in episode 20, he really wants him gone here. So I feel like him and Heather, and I feel like here you'd be able to convince Duncan, and Duncan would be able to convince Gwen to get Owen eliminated. And I feel like Owen and Tyler vote off Heather, since she's the closest one to Alejandro. But it goes in vain, and Owen is sadly eliminated from the competition. And we move on to episode 23. Now, for this episode, Alejandro realized he messed up. He's up against a couple and a guy that hates him. So this episode, he's going to kind of have to throw Heather underneath the bus. I still think he's going to win the first part of the challenge, but I think he's going to mess up with his eggs. And then, when Heather goes up, I feel like Alejandro's going to distract Heather. So it ain't going to be Heather. I don't think it'll be Tyler. And I think it's either going to be Gwen or Duncan. And it doesn't matter which, because it's Heather or Alejandro. And I feel like those two are going to be convinced that they're voting Tyler. Now, Duncan and Gwen, they're going to be voting for Alejandro. Heather and Alejandro, they're going to be voting against Tyler. And Tyler is going to be voting against Alejandro with them. But Heather here, she's actually also going to be voting against Alejandro to save her butt. So, if you're confused, it's 4 votes against Alejandro, 1 vote against Tyler. And I feel here Chris, he'll reveal the votes just like he did in episode 24. And Heather backstabs Alejandro, causing her to win and Alejandro's empire to crumble down. Now, in episode 24, I feel like out of everybody here to build the best statue, it would probably be Duncan or Gwen. Maybe Heather. Definitely not Tyler, though. I feel like Tyler would be pulling a Cody and making his statue out of poop. But I don't think it really matters, because if either Duncan or Gwen gets second or first, I feel like those two are going to dominate in the game as a couple together, and they're going to win. So, obviously here, everybody's voting out Heather. Heather gets eliminated. She was mean to them for most of the time. And it's final free time, baby. And since no one blew up the plane this time, I still think the challenge is just going to be get to Hawaii first. And Gwen and Duncan, I feel like they're going to try their best to beat Tyler. I don't know. I think Tyler, against all odds, he's been put through so much diversity. He wants to stick it out for Lindsay. I think he might actually be able to beat one of them. I feel like when they're in the boats together, it's going to be Duncan and Gwen in the boat, and then Tyler in one boat, and the bomb goes off for Tyler. He explodes, and he lands on the ground. And Duncan not wanting to fight Gwen, I feel like at this point, he's either going to give up now or give him the tiebreaker and cause Gwen to win. So the final two is going to be Gwen and Tyler. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next one. I'm planning to do a Disadventure video. Maybe not a what if. Maybe just like my thoughts on Disadventure Camp, since I recently finished watching that show. Well, I'm caught up to it now. So, I'll let you guys know, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and goodbye.